Sir?
Yes, can you hear me?
I think live stream has started, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can we start?
Yes, madam. 1 or 2 minutes we'll wait, na?
Okay, sir. Can you please check the live stream, sir, on the link? I have started.
Yeah, it's working, madam.
Okay, sir.
So
Thank you.
YouTube we are able to see.
Okay, thank you.
The Arni madam principal is joining.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir. Madam, we'll start the session, madam.
Okay, sir. A very happy Sunday morning to one and all present here. Continuous learning is the fuel that propels technology forward, igniting innovation and driving progress. In accordance with this quote, RMK Group of institutions host weekly generic talk series aimed at fostering continuous learning among all the students and faculty members, promoting technological growth and innovation. On behalf of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering Cybersecurity from RMK College of Engineering and Technology, we are hosting the sixth generic talk today on the future of generative AI, trends, challenges, and breakthrough. I would like to welcome all the faculty members and students of RMK Group of Institution to this talk. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. S.M. Udayashankar sir, the head of the Department of Computer Science, Engineering, Cybersecurity, to deliver the welcome address.
So, respected guest of today's program, Mr. Antony Prasad Thevaraj, Senior Partner Solutions Architect at Amazon Web Services, United States. Most respected Chairman, sir, Dynamic Vice Chairman, beloved advisor, respected principal, respected deans, various heads of department, academic coordinators, parents, and students of the RMK family. Good morning to all of you. Today we have gathered here for an enlightening session on the future of generative AI trends, challenges, and breakthroughs by our guest speaker, Mr. Antony Prasad from AWS. It brings me great joy to participate in this session on behalf of RMK CET's Cybersecurity Department and personally extend a warm welcome to Mr. Antony Prasad, We are honored to have you with us, sir. Thank you, sir. I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed Principal, Dr. K. Ramar, whose guidance and encouragement have been invaluable to us in every aspect. Welcome, sir. We are deeply grateful for your continual support. A sincere thanks is also extended to our Dean Research, K. Shivaram, whose presence enriches the scholarly discourse of this session. I also extend a warm welcome to Dr. N. Dharni, our coordinator, for her invaluable support. Welcome, ma'am. I extend a hearty welcome to all the faculty members, parents, and students participants from RMK Group of Institutions for this session. As we embark on this journey together, I encourage everyone to actively engage, ask questions, and share insights through our virtual platform. May this gathering be both be informative and enjoyable for all of us. Once again, a warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you for the opportunity. Wishing you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Actually, Principal sir just joined. I could not find him now. Can we proceed, sir?
Yeah, Principal sir is here. You can call Principal sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Now I would like to call upon Dr. K. Ramar, sir, the principal of RMK College of Engineering and Technology, to deliver the presidential address.
Sir, your mic is on mute, sir.
Yeah, this is the problem with AI. So we did not still solve it. It should automatically unmute.
Madam, you proceed now.
Okay. It's my esteemed
Can we
pleasure.
sure.
Yes,
Good, sorry.
yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's my esteemed pleasure to introduce Mr. Antony Prasad Thevaraj, sir, a beacon of innovation and expertise in the realm of cloud computing, database management, and artificial intelligence. Mr. Antony Prasad, sir's journey has been marked by a relentless pursuit of excellence, highlighted by his outstanding presentation at the Neo4j and AWS Generative AI workshop in New York City. Originating from Anna University, where he laid the foundation for his illustrious career in information technology, Mr. Antony Prasad has emerged as a visionary AWS senior partner solution architect based in Seattle, Washington, United States. With a distinguished array of certifications, including AWS Certified Data Analytics Specialty, AWS Certified Solution Architect, and Oracle Certified Professional, Mr. Antony Prasad, sir, bring unparalleled expertise to the table. His deep understanding of cloud management, database management, and artificial intelligence enables him to architect transformative solutions that drive innovation and efficiency for organizations across all industries. Mr. Prasad sir's presentation of AWS Generative AI workshop in New York City underscored his status as a thought leader and innovation in the field. His insights and expertise captivated audiences, provided invaluable insights into the latest development and best practices in cloud computing and AI. Currently serving as Senior Partner Solution Architect at AWS, Mr. Antony Prasad sir continues to push the boundaries of what is possible in technology. Mr. Prasad sir's journey from Anna University to the forefront of technology exemplifies the transformative power of education, innovation, and dedication. It's with great admiration, respect that we recognize and celebrate. We would like to call upon Mr. Antony Prasad sir to take over the session. Please, sir.
Thank, thank you so much, Dr. Dharani. Thank you, Dr. Ramar. Thank you, Dr. Uday Shankar. It is a privilege to be here talking before you since I recognize that I was a student, as every one of you on this call was. And Dr. Uday Shankar. Sir, if you remember, 12 to 14 years ago, I graduated from, university in Chennai, you know, fresh kid out of college, 2008, 9, 10, those were difficult years, right? So we were going through a recession. I started my journey at HCL Technologies back in 2010. Started my career on IBM mainframe and AS400. I'm sure those technologies are outdated today. A lot of big machines. And then I worked my way through Oracle databases. So I fundamentally worked as an Oracle DBA for almost 2.5 to 3 years at HCL. And then I worked with Accenture for a year, worked on one of the Starwood hotels as a client. So we supported over thousands of Oracle and SQL Server databases. So that's where I got my exposure into SQL Server as well. And then I joined Oracle for a couple of years, worked on a product known as Exadata, which was and still is a very popular data warehousing solution. And then I joined Amazon in 2016, where I worked as a database engineer and data engineer on Amazon ads. So if you look at Amazon.in or Amazon.com, you look at sponsored products and advertisements, our team was responsible for building those ads. And then obviously the evolution of our journey, like Dr. Antony just rightly said, I'm continuing to be a student of my own journey. I think the key for every student that I want to share is always learn, continue to learn, evolve. And the reason I gave you my background is I started my journey from, very obviously archaic technology and moved towards state-of-the-art technology. So today I'm a solutions architect. I work with some of the companies that Dr. Uday Shankar mentioned as well, like Neo4j, Redis. All these are independent software vendors. I've been working on the data analytics and AI ML team for the last 3 years. So my focus is on building solutions with clients, customers. It could be schools, healthcare industries, banks. We work with them, build solutions, and also part of my job is to educate, clients how to use the software, right? So with that being said, I just want to, talk about this whole concept of generative AI. This is not a very new concept, right? This must be a buzzword out there. You must be thinking, oh, what is generative AI, right? So to be honest, this existed for more than 10 to 12 years already. So if you remember, like your home appliances like Alexa, right? Or even on your Amazon.in shopping experience, right? So if you remember, if you go to the Amazon website, you will see ads and, surface up based on your purchase history, right? Based on what are your preferences? What do you like to shop for? Let's say you like to shop for black shoes, or let's say you like to shop for black t-shirts. So you get advertisements populating on Amazon shopping experience. All this is powered by AI in the background, right? So we have been working on AI systems for a long time. Why is it important today, right? So if I may take a step back, um, the world of data engineering is something that is not going to go away, right? So if you students are afraid, hey, engineers are going to struggle, no, that is not the case. In fact, now we need strong engineers, people who understand how to build systems, right? How to build solutions. So it's not just about focusing on what coding technology you're using, what coding methodology you're using. The fundamental essence is how do we build, right? How do we build these solutions? So you need to take a step back, think about the bigger picture, right? And the whole idea of generative AI is now everything I just spoke about, right, is my real life experience. What if the machine can think the way Anthony Prasad thinks, right? What if the machine can think the way Anthony Prasad codes? That is the next evolution of generative AI, right? So just to give an example, the whole idea is let's take a simple use case where, let's say, a patient XYZ, right, is suffering from a disease 5 years ago. You have 5 years worth of data, right? This many drugs were administered, this many clinical trials were administered. Today, we are working with scientists and doctors trying to build the next evolution of software where you can even predict what is the diagnosis for this patient, right, in the future. So that is the state of the art stuff that we're trying to build. right? That's just one example. Another example is maybe a bank, right? Think of a bank, a fraud detection system. For example, if my credit card is, I'm getting a notification saying, hey, 20,000 Indian rupees has been debited from my account, but I didn't actually do that transaction, right? So without you having to call the bank, you want your bank to automatically, every time that transaction is there, the card should notify your bank. Automatically, the bank should take action and they should block the card, right? So that's the example I'm trying to talk. See, I'm sure all of you must have been frustrated when your credit card is lost or your debit card is lost or some fraudulent detection is there. You have to call the customer care. You have to wait for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I have been there before, right? I remember how tough it was to even get hold of a customer care service agent and they would block the card. But what if we can build a system, a solution where with a combination of multiple services, we are able to actually generate automatically a fraud alert, a fraud detection where the bank is able to prevent future transactions by predicting that there is an anomaly happening and is able to stop that anomaly, right? So it's not only about detecting, but also taking action on what that anomaly is all about. I know I've spoken a lot, but I wanted to just give you an introduction of what is generative AI and why are we having this conversation today, right? So with that, I'll pause. Dr. Uday Shankar, if you have any questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
a question from one of our student. So, with this fast evolving generative AI technology, how can a student get prepared himself to take up a
yeah,
career in generative AI?
yeah. That's a good question. And I think this is the number one question that everyone has in the back of their mind, right? I think the first important thing is to understand what areas of interest and what areas do you want to focus on? As a fresh college graduate, you should learn everything out there. I know it seems like a lot, but at the end of the day, you need to pick exactly what course or what is your personal interest. For example, my interest has been in databases and the world of data, right? And then eventually I've evolved into AI/ML. Now, if you want to get into generative AI and talk about AI applications or AI/ML's usage, first you need to go back to the very basics, right? How do I structure data? Because at the end of the day, in this world of generative AI, data is going to be critical, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If you tell your LLM that the sky is red and it is not blue, it is going to give you a response that sky is red. It won't give you sky is blue, right? So it comes to data. So how do you figure out how do I structure my data? There are a bunch of free training courses that I can suggest, and I can actually drop the links in the chat, which I will also recommend trying to get access of. So there is something known as AWS Builder Labs, right, which is a free content uh, for students who want to get started on building solutions, right? Even before that, I would also recommend, Dr. Uday Shankar sir and the College of RMK. There is something known as AWS Amazon Training Academy. So there is an institution application. I'm not sure if you will qualify, but you can definitely give it an attempt. And if you're able to get the course application through, you should be able to get access to more courses for the college itself. But I would suggest to start there, right? And also, I also recommend self-paced learning labs from two other third-party online training tutorials. One is udemy.com, and another one is Pluralsight A Cloud Guru, right? So so go there, search for AWS cloud computing, right? And you will get a ton of resources. There is more than 45, 50, 70 hours of training content. So my suggestion is, students, when you have time, right, in your day, together with what you're working on in college, because see, continue to focus on what they teach you in college. The most important thing that I took away from college is working together as a team, working with others, your peers, learning how to collaborate, taking feedback, and also trying to strive for a high standard, a high bar. As Dr. Uday Shankar said, we need to make sure that as a student, we are able to help other students also raise the bar, right? So get started with that. These are some useful links that you can get started with to understand the basics of cloud computing. How do you get started? And don't just learn these labs for the sake of completing the content. The important thing is to understand why are we building the solutions, right? Like for the examples that I gave, like, why are we building this application? Why are we building this generative AI application, right? Uh, it is important to understand the why versus how to do it, right? So again, I will come to that conversation a little later in our journey. But as you have realized today, the code is out there. The machines have the code. So learning Python, learning Scala, I had done all these in my data engineering days. I worked on Scala, Python, and continued to work on R and Go as well. But today, that is available as a code, right? So there are services in AWS that will enable you to actually provide high quality code for you to create applications. So that's why I'm again advising the students, focus on why are we building it, right? Versus actually focusing on the code, because it's important to understand why we are implementing the solution this way. There are many ways to solve a problem. We need to find out what is the right way and what is the most optimum solution for your use case. I hope that helps.
Thank you, sir. With the perspective of research, what advice can you give for our students as well as for the faculty members uh,
Yeah,
regarding the current trend or the current research that is going on with respect to generative AI?
correct. And that part of that question I will answer in what I've already mentioned is, for those interested in pursuing research, continue to pursue research, right? Actually, I would suggest get yourself familiar with the AI tools available, right? So while you focus on your research part, today the biggest gap is, like, I work with a lot of scientists, research scientists and applied scientists who are very theoretical, right? They have all the theoretical knowledge, but what is missing is the lack of application of how to use tools, right? So it's not even the coding, right? Like I said, it's not even about the coding, but how do you leverage tools and services, right? So continue to work on your research, which is going to come in very, very handy, because fundamentally you're learning for example, search algorithms, right? Cosine search, vector databases, vector search, graph theory, for example. All these are very important theoretical knowledge. Now, I did not do my PhD, so I did not go to school to study about graph theory, but I learned graph theory while working, right? So that's also part of the whole point is, now you don't have a foot in the door in the industry. You don't have a job out there to get started with. So how do you work backwards? So first thing, continue your research in your research field. Also, take these courses that I just mentioned, right? So these courses will teach you how to work on, for example, Amazon Redshift. It will help you work on Amazon SageMaker. It will help you work on AWS Glue. It will help you work on Amazon Bedrock, right? There are a ton of services, over 250 services that AWS Cloud provides. So you can get yourself familiar with all the training content that I just provided, right? So that's your way to keep yourself updated with the research and the technology.
Thank you so much, sir. Um, with the perspective from the industry end, what is the role of data engineering, AI, ML?
Yeah, no, like I said, today it is very, very important. The role of data engineers is very important. I think in the past, when I was a data engineer, I was the only data engineer for a team of 40 people, right? So I was supporting 4 teams in one of my old companies, and it was a challenge. They assumed software engineers would be able to build uh, data pipelines. But as you know, a fundamental role and task of a data engineer in the past, traditional way, used to be uh, defined as the ETL workflow, right? What is ETL? Extraction, transformation, and load. So you would extract data from multiple data sources. Your data could be usually relational or structured data sources, and somehow over time, data has changed and evolved as well. So it becomes unstructured and semi-structured as well, which could be a JSON file, an ION file, or a Parquet file, right? So data continue to evolve. Now, in the past, as a data engineer, 5 years ago, I had to do a lot of work as a data engineer because we would have to extract, we would have to massage the data, we would have to structure the data in such a way that the application or the tool that you were using could consume the data. But today, with generative AI, that has flipped, that has changed. What has happened? Now it's a zero ETL phase. Does that mean we don't need a data engineer anymore? No, absolutely not. You need a data engineer because someone needs to know what is the right data set to be pulled in. Someone needs to know what is the right API call needed to be configured for this application. Someone still needs to know or ensure that high data quality checks are in place. So the data is clean and you get the maximum value and you are getting the highest quality output from your machine learning model. So at the end of the day, if your data is not clean, you're not going to get a good output. Like I said, so data engineering's role becomes very key. AI/ML data scientists, right? Now, for example, now you have the data, right? You have the business need. Let's say it's a retail website, it is a pharmaceutical firm, whatever. How do you connect the dots, right? So that's where the research part comes into play. What is the most optimum algorithm that we can use for this traversal, for example, right? So that's where the research part comes into play. So you're connecting the dots between data engineering, you're connecting the dots between data science, you're connecting the dots with the AI/ML whole ecosystem. So that's how all these persona need to work together to build a solution. So it is not one data engineer, one person building the solution. It's a group of people, combination of persona that are building the solution together. It could be business analysts, it could be product managers because they have to figure out. So the point I'm trying to make is these are some of the roles you need to consider going forward. It is not just data engineering. You need to consider the role of solution architects like myself because solution architects, we work with product managers, we work with engineers, we have to design the end-to-end system. Product managers are going to be key because product is key. Without building the right product and service, you cannot build the right application. Application managers, content creators are going to be key, right? Part of the whole generative AI solution building also involves sales, marketing. So get yourself familiar with business ideas also, right? So it's not just graduating in BTech, BE, IT, CSE. Open your mind to understanding business as well. I'm not saying you have to do an MBA, but think about how do you connect business with science and technology. It is a combination of all the three.
Thank you, sir. We have predominantly used tools such as Nine, Vika, Orange, all those data mining tools, which have a very easy to go user interface. Can you suggest some other tools for the students so that they can get some hands-on experience? I mean, for their base before starting their coding.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think the tools that you just mentioned, they're all third-party software. So if you go to the AWS, the Amazon portal, and the links that I just provided, right, and the Builder Labs, uh, and even your udemy.com, you'll have something known as AWS Cloud Computing. So if you go into cloud computing itself, there are specific domains or verticals. For example, data and analytics, right? Now, if you're focused only on data analytics services, some of the services that I can suggest are AWS Glue, right? So AWS Glue is a fully managed ETL service that provides end-to-end ETL workflow, right? So right from extraction, transformation, and loading of data into whatever data source, you can use something like AWS Glue. Amazon Redshift. Amazon Redshift is a very popular data warehousing solution, right? So when you talk about a fully managed data warehousing solution, let's say you are a business application owner or a business analyst, you need to generate reports, right? Then it is suggestible and advisable to store your data in Amazon Redshift because it's a parallel processing database, which allows you to actually process tons of records at the same time, right? And can access concurrent users. Then you can use something known as Amazon QuickSight. If you guys are familiar with Tableau, right? So Tableau was used for visualization. I would suggest get yourself familiar with Amazon QuickSight because this allows you to create visualization of the content, right? And then there's something known as Amazon Kinesis Firehose that allows you to stream live data. For example, data coming in from cricket matches or football matches, right? You want to stream and process that data. You can use something like Amazon Kinesis Firehose. And then some of the newer tools, I would say Amazon SageMaker, which is our AI ML service, which allows you to create, train, and deploy ML models. You can use Amazon Bedrock, which is the next evolution of generative AI. Now, Bedrock, SageMaker are next step. That are very complex, but I would suggest getting yourself familiar with the earlier services that I just mentioned and start from there.
Thank you, sir. Um, Basically, we belonging to the Department of Cybersecurity. So, with the perspective of generative AI, how do you foresee the future of AI in cybersecurity evolving in the upcoming years?
Well, that is a great question, and that is the good news is there's a huge demand in everything to do with cybersecurity today, right? So when you talk about um, generative AI in the hands of the wrong user can always be a threat. There are always going to be hackers who are trying to hack into systems. There's going to be fraudulent attacks. There is going to be bad actors who are trying to pose as real active users but are snatching information from you, PIA data, like personal identifiable information like your address, your phone number, your name, your Aadhaar card number, PAN card number. In US, it's SSN card number. So using this information, they can commit frauds, right? So cybersecurity is going to become critical. And at Amazon and every other company that develops cloud solutions, we always focus on security as being P0, right? So I think the role of cybersecurity architects, the role of cybersecurity solution engineers is going to continue to grow. The demand is going to definitely increase because in the world of generative AI, I can tell you that is the one of the number one use cases that we have seen in the industry.
Thank you, sir. With that perspective, can you suggest some certification with the combination of AI and cybersecurity that would be useful for our students?
Yes, glad you asked. Let me let me put up the security specialty certifications. Okay, so there's a ton of them. I would say, uh, let me actually drop the link here if I can. Okay. So this is very specific to AWS. So this is one of the top courses, AWS Certified Security Specialty. But before getting here, you need to do two basic courses because if you start here directly, it's going to be like Greek and Latin. So it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get started. So this is the first course you would have to actually start. It's known as Cloud Practitioner. So I put that link there, right? So Cloud Practitioner gives you basic understanding of cloud computing, right? And there are so if you just search for cloud computing AWS on Udemy, you'll get a ton of courses. So this is introduction to cloud computing for AWS for beginners, right? Once you get familiar with that, next one you will do solution architect associate, right? And I'll put the link there. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that doing these certifications will actually help you gain knowledge. At the end of the day, try to go through the content, learn the why we are building the solution this way, right? And then eventually you'll get to your certified security specialty domain. And the same you have for AI, ML, and data analytics as well. So there's more than 14 certifications. I don't want you to all burn the midnight oil on 14 certifications. Pick your choice, pick what your interests are, and focus on those.
Sure, sir. Thank you. The next thing that comes into our mind is that in the evolving era of cybersecurity, where we have unforeseen threats, we usually have missions to get trained based on the data that we provide. So how do generative AI will be useful in targeting those unseen threats?
That's a good question. So I will take a step back. So yes and no, I agree with that statement. And the reason is, um, in the traditional ML world, if you had to tweak 10 parameters, 20 parameters, you could use standard tooling, standard architecture, standard models to actually create, train, and get your answer, right? And it would use historical data. But when you use the word generative AI, you are ensuring that the machine is able to predict way before something happens, right? Even then, initially, you have to train your model and let your model know what or where they have to look at. For example, if you go back to the patient example that I just talked about, the patient journey, right? What are we feeding? We are feeding patient history, patient historical records, medical research, medical journals, right? Let's say you have done research in New York State Library or University of Birmingham. Feed those papers as input to your training model, right? So then what happens is the model is intelligent enough. And again, I don't want to go into detail of what models you can use because that will open up a whole different conversation. But with AWS cloud computing, we work with other third-party providers who provide their models for us to train. Like, for example, you have Anthropic's Claude. For example, you have Llama from Meta, right? Llama 3. So they provide these models, intelligent models, based on how much you can pay, to invariably leverage the data sources that you provided. And then over time, it will learn and predict what's going to happen next. And it will predict the diagnosis of the patient. Now, we're not saying that it's foolproof or 100% accurate. And that's where you have to eliminate biases. You have to ground your data. You have to ensure that your data is precise, to ensure that you have a high quality result. Because if you go wrong, for example, even if you're an airline company, right? There was a use case when we were talking to a customer, they automated the workflow for supply chain optimization for an airline company. For example, if you're an engineer and you realize this particular Boeing X model, there's a spare part, it's missing a spare part, you're placing an order. Now, think of the fact that the LLM or the large language model is able to predict that this model or piece is going to go out of stock. It's going to place an order automatically. Now, what happens if the model gets it wrong and places a wrong order? There's a loss of money and there's a waste of time, right? So that's the problem. And that's why your data has to be super accurate. I'm stressing on the same fact. Without the right data and without you providing the data to the machine, it will never automatically predict what the right result is. Hope that answers your question, which is why I said it's yes and no to that statement.
Yes, of course. With respect to cybersecurity, we always have some unforeseen threats. Is what we actually face. That is a great difficulty which we face when we try to
Yeah,
propose any research proposal as well. So
yeah.
having that in hand, okay. With respect to the ethical consideration, can you discuss with us? It, which means, do we have any ethical consideration that the students should be aware of when working with generative AI?
Yes. Well, I'm glad I'm not a student, first of all, at this point in time, because I know there's a lot of things that you have to consider. And I know it's really tough for a teacher as well, right? You know, being a professor and a teacher at this point, it's equally challenging because, you know, students have access to a lot of automated AI ML tools that can make their lives a lot easier. Geez, I wish I had access to those tools when I had to do my homework back then. But I think the most important thing is do not share personal data, right? And do not, especially if it is a proprietary data, if you're working on a project, research paper, patent, if it is your own individual data, your own code, do not just publish it out there, right? So that's one thing. Make sure that even if you expose your data or data set to maybe a group of your professors or students, make sure you're having the right roles, permissions, access control in place. So the most important thing is, like, even as cybersecurity, specialists, as architects, when you design and cloud computing, in cloud computing, there is two fundamental things, right? A company like AWS, right? We will not take care of the security of your data. Once you provide the data to our applications, our tools, our services, then we are responsible. AWS is responsible. But the data that you are providing and that you are generating from your application, you as the application owner is responsible. So you have to make sure that if you want to eliminate PII data, if you need to abstract private confidential information, you need to make sure that you abstract it before even feeding it into the data set, right? That's the key thing. So the customer or you are responsible for the security of your data. Once it's in cloud, AWS is responsible. And that's where our services have every GDPR compliance, HIPAA compliance. We ensure that we take care of the data within the cloud. But when you're generating the data from your end, you as a user, end user, is responsible. That's why when you talk about the ethical standards, as students, it's important to ensure that you don't publish your data and your personal data anywhere and everywhere, and ensure that you have proper guardrails and access control on the data as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, how do you recommend students to get updated or stay updated on the latest development and advancement with respect to generative AI?
Good question. Again, a lot of them will boil back to my earlier suggestions, right, on AWS. From AWS perspective, sign up for the newsletters, keep updating yourself on LinkedIn, take up free training materials and courses if they're available. There are a lot of people there on YouTube and on LinkedIn who are selling courses, right? If they are trustworthy and if you are recognizing those content, please highly recommend to go and get yourself out there. And see, at the end of the day, today, even if you know what you know, you need to ensure that you are letting the world know what you know, right? So keeping your profile and resume updated on LinkedIn is very important. And today, LinkedIn has a lot of AI ML tools also that help you, orchestrate your resume in a better position, right? So I think focusing on building your LinkedIn resume, and it's not like you have to put all the content out there. Just put the key basics that you are very, very strong at, and based on that, you get better recognition on your LinkedIn profile, because that's where recruiters also look out for.
Thank you, sir. So, is there any challenge that a student might face while working with generative AI, sir? If so, how could we handle?
Yeah, challenges. Okay, so the challenges would be, I guess, I wouldn't look at it as a challenge. It's going to simplify your work for sure, right? It's going to help you code better code. It's going to help you build easier applications. As far as the challenges are concerned, I would say the number one thing is there is so much content out there, right? There is so much of information out there. There's so much of data out there. And as a student, you might be thinking, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to get started. Trust me, we all were in the same boat, right? Going back in time, when I was in my college days, same way. I had no clue that I would step into this career, right? So where I started my journey and where I'm at today, there is no connection, right? There are fundamental basics that have helped me go along the way, but there is no connection. So uh, even if there are challenges, let's say you know that there is a knowledge gap, that you are lacking some expertise, it's okay to ask for help. Get help from your research professors, or take up projects, intern projects that you can get your hands on, right? I'm aware of the situation right now in the market. It's a different conversation, but I know that in due course things will get better, and you should take up opportunities for internship, even if the salary or the money is not great. Take up opportunities to learn, right? I think that's where you can get started. So even if there are challenges, identify your knowledge gaps, identify what you're missing, right? So even if you give interviews, practice interviews with companies, and if you get rejected, don't feel bad. trust me, we've all dealt with rejections, right, in our past. Even when I was in college, when we attended interviews for companies, we got rejected. We didn't get the call back, and then we somehow ended up getting a job, right? So I would say students, don't give up hope. Even if there are rejections on the way, you learn, you understand where your gaps are, then focus on educating yourself. And that's why I provided you this content and these links which will help you get educated. And if there are areas of interest, even outside cloud security, I know it's a predominant cloud security group, focus on cloud security, but let's say data analytics, AI, ML, or even IoT devices, HPC, high power computing, talk about research in genomes and whatnot. So there are so many areas, right? You can apply generative AI in every area. You can talk about marketing. You can talk about sales. You can talk about content creation. You can talk about logo creation, right? So every industry you need generative AI. The key message is, as a student, there is no lack of opportunities. There is so many opportunities out there. You just need to find out what is your preference, which area you want to focus on, what are your gaps, and then go from there.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. So, lastly, I would like to ask you to share your experiences starting your journey from an university to the place you are now, your journey on the
Yep.
whole. It would be an inspiring story for all of us students.
No, thank you so much. I think I'm very humbled. I still feel that I'm still a student of Dr. Uday Shankar. Many years ago we were in the same classroom. Of course, I think uh, my journey has been quite an interesting one. I think I graduated my university many years ago. It was difficult times. It was recession, the first recession, 2008, 2009, 2010. Jobs were still tough to come by. And back then I just wanted to work in an IT company. I didn't care about the salary. I knew some of my friends made way more money than I did, and I didn't care, right? For me, it was not about the money at that point. I think I took up a challenge and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to start from here. We haven't had the right opportunities, but let's jump in, right? And I took a keen interest in databases. So for my career, when I started working in HCL, I was very keen in understanding relational data. I was very interested in Oracle databases in particular. So I started my journey into the corporate world as being an Oracle database, kind of an admin specialist. I focused on even as a junior developer, I was always looking to take up complex projects, get my hands dirty. And then that's one thing I encourage students. Never be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, right? Because engineering, they teach you something, they teach you relational databases, RDMS, they talked about linked lists, right? Stacks, queues, whatever. I don't want to go back to college, my college days, it's too long ago, but we started on those fundamental things, right? It gave you mathematics knowledge about probability and statistics, right? All these are building blocks, right? So I'm not saying that everything that I learned in college did not help me apply, but I took bits and pieces from what I learned in college and helped them shape up my career in a way that I did not want to stop learning, right? So I continued to focus on pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And then I switched to Accenture. I was there for Accenture. In Accenture, a very brief time, had an amazing team to work with, but I felt like I wasn't challenged enough. It felt like my work was very monotonous. It was the same kind of work, same kind of user deployment, same kind of database migration. So I wouldn't say I got bored, but when you're doing the same task over and over again, back then, come to think of it, I was curious to move on to the next step. And then I started focusing on data warehouses. Why? Because databases started off with, back then, very small data sets, and then the size of the data started to grow, right? So data warehouse is the next evolution. I got myself hands dirty in that one. Worked in Oracle for 2 years, was part of the Exadata team in product development. So outside regular software engineering, I took up mentorship. I worked with product managers. I work with lead engineers, to actually learn more and push myself, right? So from there, from Oracle, the next step I pushed myself to get to Amazon, because back then cloud was not a thing. So remember when I was working at Oracle, cloud was just early days. And in fact, in Oracle, they didn't even push towards cloud at that point, and cloud was not a thing in the company I worked for back then. And that's when Amazon, the opportunity came by, and I definitely wanted to work, a little more deeper, not just with databases, also with data. And that's why I worked as a data engineer in Amazon for a long time, for 4 years, and that helped me learn my skills in programming. I picked up, not just programming skills but how to design systems, right? End-to-end systems. So think of it like a whiteboard, you're drawing, right? So it pushed myself to understand, take a step back, think about life as not just code, but also building blocks to what you're building for that code, right? So that's how I stepped out of just being a traditional software engineer, started to focus on system design, because at the end of the day, if you build a good system, a stable system, and your code is deployed, it will work perfectly. If you design a very scalable, robust, secure system, then you don't have to do a lot of work. So as an engineer, it's not about just hard work, but smart work. So that's one of the things that I picked up on the way. I wish someone told me that much earlier in my career. I would have grown up a little faster, but I think that's something that I learned much later, and that's my advice to students. Don't think about just the one aspect, the one-dimensional coding aspect. Think about, why are we coding it this way? Is there a better approach to code? Is there a better solution? Question yourself. And once you start asking yourself questions, you start finding answers. And that's how you push yourself to learn. And that's been the same theme with my entire career so far. And there is never a dull day. You only see the good news on LinkedIn, but there's a lot of blood and sweat. There's a lot of challenges that we have to deal with, a lot of sacrifices we make to get to where we are. So continue to be humble. My suggestion is continue to be humble. Remember where you started, and continue to grow. And I can only recommend and wish all the very best to all the students who are listening to this, and teachers, principals, and obviously my dear Dr. Uday Shankar. It's been a pleasure, obviously being one of his students for a very long time. And I had always wanted to do this presentation for all the students, and glad I had this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the great overview on the current landscape of generative AI, highlighting the emerging trends, challenges, and also the notable breakthrough. The talk also offered valuable insights into the potential directions and implications shaping the future of AI innovation. Thank you so much for your time and effort that you have taken. So now I would like to call upon Mr. M. Karthikeyan, sir, the Assistant Professor from the Department of Computer Science Engineering and Cybersecurity, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Doctor.
Good morning, all of you. First of all, I would like to thank our management for supporting all our activities, and I would like to thank all the principals of RMK group of institutions to encourage our faculties and students to do more activity like this. And I would like to thank Mr. Antony Prasad Thevaraj, Senior Partner Solutions Architect, Amazon Web Services, United States, for his mesmerizing talk on trends, challenges, and breakthroughs in the future generative AI. And I would like to thank Dr. S.M. Udayasankar sir and Dr. Dharani for his contribution to make this session success. And I would like to thank all the HODs, faculty members, students, and parents, those who are all participating in this amazing session. So once again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antony, for your support.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.